I love driving my car. I love using gasoline all the time.
But David, I heard that gas is a non-renewable resource.
I've also heard that it's bad for the environment.
What? If only there were some alternative to gasoline so I could drive everywhere I wanted to without harming sweet Mother Nature. If only somebody cared.
I care, Mr. Biofuel!
Now boys, there's a lot of different alternatives to petroleum, such as biofuels. Biofuels are derived from biomass, which are corn, soybeans, animal products. There's a whole host of different things that they could come from. You don't need to use petroleum. Alright guys, so you're obviously interested in alternatives to petroleum, so why not make some videos about biofuels? I'd like you to research, and I'd like you to create a video in which you flesh out key vocabulary, chemical concepts, environmental concerns, and possible solutions to the problems which you guys obviously care about, the petroleum crisis. Here, I got an example. Check this out. In order to make biodiesel, one needs a number of different chemicals to start the reaction. We start with, basically, a purified vegetable oil. This is the base ester which will be used to create our fuel later on. We also need sodium hydroxide, which will act as a catalyst in the reaction, and methanol, which is the alcohol which is necessary to create the biodiesel. Before mixing these two, we need to combine these two, methyl and the sodium hydroxide, to form a catalyst to the reaction. This is necessary in order to proceed with the action, which I will go through right now. So, I've already mentioned the materials. We need vegetable oil, we need methanol, we need sodium hydroxide. Now, we start with a base ester. This is essentially a structure of vegetable oil, and there's no particular given structure. It can change with a great number of different variables, but here's the base structure. So this is the vegetable oil molecule. We add that with 3CH3OH, which is our methanol. So the process of adding these two together and forming this product is known as transesterification. In order to proceed with this reaction, we need a catalyst, an OH ion. So in order to create this OH ion catalyst, we need the addition of NaOH, which I mentioned earlier. So combining methanol with NaOH forms a compound known as sodium methoxide. After the reaction is complete, we form our products, which are 3CH3CO plus an R, a variable, so it'll be another set of hydrocarbons based upon what we started with, the other R groups. And we also form glycerol. The biodiesel is a trimethyl ester, which is the product that we create from transesterification. That's why it's named that. So, this process can be formed in like a freestanding set of beakers, but often it's more desirable to have your own biodiesel reactor. This is an example of a biodiesel reactor, in which case you pour both sets of both the sodium methoxide and the vegetable oil into this water heater, and you use heat energy in the water heater to combine and catalyze the reaction that's already beginning to take place. Then you begin to pump it through this pump here, and you cycle it so that all the ingredients are mixed together well and thoroughly. And then you drain off the mixture after a day or so of letting it sit. You have to run it for a few hours and let it sit for a day. That's very important because this reaction takes quite a while. But in the end, you're left with a biodiesel mixture, which you can use in car engines, and a little bit of glycerol, but that's not too hard to handle.
Alright, so how was that?
That was really cool.
Radical!
Sweet!
Let's do some research of our own, guys!
Yeah! Let's go study!
Sounds good to me!
Alcohols comprise a hydroxyl OH group attached to a carbon chain. Ethanol is an alcohol with the chemical formula C2H5OH. It is a biofuel because it can be derived from biomass, particularly sugarcane, potatoes, and corn. Ethanol has an advantage over crude oil because it's a renewable resource. Before we learn how ethanol is made, let's take a look at petroleum. Petroleum is composed of hydrocarbons like isooctane, and here's its combustion. The hydrocarbon plus oxygen yielding carbon dioxide, water vapor, and heat. So how is ethanol made? Well, you start with a plant which has glucose, which it produces by a photosynthesis, which has carbon dioxide and water with light from the sun, ultimately yielding that awesome sugar, glucose, and some oxygen. Then the glucose decomposes into ethanol, which just happens, by decomposition. Finally, the combustion of ethanol, similar to isooctane's combustion, has ethanol, which is similar to a hydrocarbon, except it has the OH group, added to oxygen, yielding carbon dioxide, water vapor, and heat. Cool! One issue with ethanol's production is that it requires a lot of land to produce the crops that make ethanol. A new method of production, called cellulosic ethanol, which is made from plant cell walls, may reduce this cost. Ethanol may help replace the use of petroleum and crude oil in planes, trains, and automobiles in the future. It is certainly a possible solution. And it tastes great too. I'm all fueled up!
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. I was just stroking this piece of wood. And I'm sure you didn't know that wood was actually the original biofuel. That's right. Things like wood, coal, and even manure were used to make energy.
Magnificent.
Oh, nice to see you again. I'm sure if I left this water running for a little while and plugged up the drain, it would probably eventually form something you and I like to refer to as algae. Now, as my friend Jake was talking about earlier, algae goes through a process known as photosynthesis.
Yeah, it does.
Now, this photosynthesis is going to produce various forms of hydrocarbons, such as, ethanol, methanol, and vegetable oil. Now, as we all know, these certain ethanols, methanols, and vegetable oils can be used to power like these new biodiesel engines. Man, algae sure is cool.
Green diesel. is a diesel fuel created not from petroleum, but from renewable biomass, similar to the way that biodiesel is created. However, where biodiesel undergoes a process of transesterification, green diesel is refined in a way similar to the way that its cousin, petroleum diesel, is refined. Vegetable oil is another possible biofuel. If you put vegetable oil into a diesel engine, it will run. Even the vegetable oil that McDonald's uses in its deep fat fryers. However, keep in mind that before you go and put vegetable oil in your diesel engine, you may need an engine modification to make it run without hurting the engine. And that is just one of many possible biofuels. Biogas is another type of biofuel. It is gas given by decomposition reactions from decomposing biomass. It can be used in similar fashions as natural gas. However, due to its renewable nature, supplies are not limited and will not be depleted. All of these biofuels have multiple applications. Of course they can be used to replace gasoline in our transportation industry, but they can also be used to power your home or to power your electric generator. Cheers.
I learned so much about biofuels today.
I love biofuels. Now I can drive all I want and not injure sweet Mother Nature.
Think of all the chemical concepts we covered and our possible solutions.
Think of all the key vocabulary we defined.
Talk about all of the environmental concerns that we touched base on.
Did you see that text on screen to help everyone understand? Man, that was good too.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Yay, biofuels!
Yay!